today. You can contact us on the Viewpoint line by calling 875-1790. The opinions expressed by our callers and guests do not necessarily on the management staff of AM 1490 WHTV. And now, here's today's Viewpoint.
And good morning, and welcome into the Thursday morning Viewpoint. For this Thursday morning, hold on, Grace, we'll come. This Thursday morning, February 19th, 2026. Randy Williams with you until 9. How do you feel this morning? Certainly hope your morning is getting off to a good start. Weather-wise, it looks like we're going to be, possibly as reach 80, 81 degrees today. So just be prepared for that. But this is the kind of weather, you can really easily get caught off guard because the temperatures are going to go back to winter temperatures for a couple of days next week. So don't let your guard down. This is the kind of weather to get a good cold or pneumonia if you're not careful, right? And so we'll have to just take it one day at a time. 334-875-1490 and 1492 are the numbers to call if you have comments or questions. And of course, on yesterday, we had Attorney Fire Rose Torre was in to bring us up to date on the many activities, my goodness, that will be taking place during this year's Jubilee celebration. I thought they were going to do less, but she says they're going to be doing more. And usually, oh gosh, I think the last time I think last year they may have had I'm pretty sure it was close to 30 events. But there are other organizations that are kind of piping in, if you will, and participating that same weekend. So there's a lot that is going to be going on for the next several months. Selma's blessed with all kinds of history. I noticed in Montgomery, they have embraced their Civil War and Civil Rights history and married the two. And they benefit from it greatly. And hopefully we will continue to do the same. I missed the Battle of Selma, actually. It was a pretty interesting event. And I noticed every year that many of the cadets from Marion Military Institute would come. You see, because it was also a study in military strategy. So sometimes people get focused on all the wrong things, I think, when it comes to so much. And I think that unfortunately, with the Battle of Selma, people who don't appreciate the military history get it wrong. And there were a lot of different aspects I remember about the Battle of Selma that I found interesting. One of them was that many of the reenactors would come and camp out and relive the day-to-day lifestyles of that time period. The things we take for granted now, they couldn't do in the 1800s. Like they didn't have microwaves. They didn't have gas or electric stoves either. They had to cook the old-fashioned way with wood, right? And so just those little things, they're not little, they are and they're not, And the other thing I found interesting was that a great majority of the reenactors, and they were Black and white reenactors, and that participated on both the North and the Southern side, that for the most part, were professionals in everyday life. I'm talking accountants and lawyers and doctors and you name it, just about from every profession. You had a lot of reenactors because really that's an expensive habit or expensive hobby to be able to participate in Civil War reenactments. There are people that get into it to the extent of being able to recreate battlefields, miniature battlefields. That's something I'll never understand how they do. I saw a story about a guy that is now his work is in a museum in New York, but he has replicated all of New York City, each of the all five boroughs in miniature, and it looks so real. I mean, how do I can't imagine the patience that it would take to get that kind of detail, to get the buildings and the streets accurate. But everybody has a talent for something, and that obviously is his talent. But speaking of addictions, uh, they are in California, have a trial that is going on. There's also one in New Mexico that is dealing with questioning whether or not social media is addictive, or whether or not the companies that own these social media uh, sites, whether are they intentionally addictive. And so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, because at the end of the day, any business is going to is certainly going to want to make a profit and want to be able to keep an audience. The question is, at what point do you cross the line? I can remember before the internet became addictive, there's always something, especially with people, who are in business, or who have busy schedules, or that are, really involved. First, it was the pages. You become addicted to your pages. And then the cell phones. That became addictive. Now it's social media, and at the end of the day, it's, basically a choice, except for when it comes to children. And I think this is the issue that's at the heart of the matter in these trials. Mark Zuckerberg was testified on yesterday, and I guess they're trying to pin him down to see whether or not if he was intentional about being able to addict minors. See, this thing about minors is beginning to crop up now, and I hope that some of the decisions that have already been made by minors that have been life altering, that they will be able to survive. For those who did this gender care issue is becoming a real issue again, but I think they're zeroing in on, and I think appropriately so, on minors. What you do as an adult, that's one thing. After 18, 19 years old, that's fine. But to allow a minor to make a life-altering decision about their bodies that they may even not be sure about until after they turn to be an adult is criminal. And that's not being homophobic. That's being commonsensical and concerned about the welfare of children. And so, I don't know if you would call it liberal or woke or what, that would promote letting children make life-altering decisions about their bodies. Research, I understand, in Europe, they're way ahead of the game. They concluded that many of these issues, that transgender or gender affirming issues with youth, correct themselves with puberty. That's natural. I remember hearing a woman a couple of years ago, it may have been on the Chris Plant show, in fact, say that she remembered when she was a young girl that she was a tomboy. She liked to, play sports and do a lot of things with her neighbors and male neighbors and relatives. And so she would be classified as a tomboy until she began to develop breasts. And when, and that kind of really sent her, into a whole nother internal conversation. And then, of course, when a young lady has her menstrual cycle, they have it at different ages. All of these things come under the headline of puberty and will alter a person's, I would imagine, I don't know what it would be like as a female, to have to endure that until you develop into whatever you're developing into. But those are the kind of issues that's natural. Why are we so obsessed with forcing unnatural acts on our children? And if we continue to do that, we'll end up with some real serious problems. But it looks like uh, just like the financial market corrects itself, I'm like Dr. King. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And so the court of public opinion is correcting these practices. And where it will go, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but I just find it very interesting. But it could also be tragic. And, it's really a sad thing, and I would imagine that if a person doesn't know quite what they want to be, male or female, regardless of what they were born as, that has got to become and be uh, a mental health issue. Now, that's not saying somebody's crazy, but it's saying that they may need help and they may need therapy and they may need to talk it through with someone who understands and who is not being judgmental. So we're so quick to be judgmental and so quick to attack. And I always ask the question, where is the love? What are we so angry about? There's too much, I see too much anger sometimes in folks. I don't know what, makes people so angry. And especially these days, we, everybody's got something to be thankful for more so than anger. I saw a Facebook post from Lamarcus Snow, I think, and he had caught a picture of a person that was dumping their trash out of a full-fledged dumpster, not a dumpster, but the large trash cans that the trash garbage trucks pick up. He was dumping it on public property. What makes you do that? What is that? I mean, you could go down to 41 if you had enough of a transportation to be able to get something that big from wherever you came from and then dump it on the street. You could have done that. You could have taken that down to 41. It don't cost you anything but gas. We need to have a little more respect, for our city and county. But now, whoever the person was, they may not even be from Selma or may not even be from Dallas County. I've been hearing about folks to come and do stuff like that. So I don't know. Let's take this break and I'll be back with more bunch of stuff going on. I got some news stories I think that you are going to want to hear about, several things that are happening. But first, let's take this break.
If you didn't get that new furniture you wanted for Valentine's Day, the folks at Prairie on Broad still love you, and you still have time to take advantage of some really great specials inside the store, including that 20% discount for the remainder of the month on all living room suites. And yes, you can finance and take up to 12 months to pay with no interest. Stop by, talk to Miss Margaret, Ms. Lisa, or the mayor. Gray's on Broad, 514 Broad Street. Furniture's so nice to come home to.
Good morning, I'm Judd Davis. Here's what's happening in the news on this Thursday. Still no sign of a missing toddler from Enterprise. Investigators just used canines to search the property near Genesis Reed's home. The child's mother, Adrienne Reed, is now in police custody. She's charged right now with failure to report her child missing. A judge set her bond at $1 million. If you're looking for a job or a career change, a big event going on in Montgomery today. WSFA 12 News is teaming up with the City of Montgomery and the Alabama Department of Workforce for the second annual state agency job fair. It's today at the Crypto Multiplex from 9 to 3. The event is free. You're encouraged to trek for an interview. There could soon be a new homeless shelter in West Montgomery. Mercy House shared its plan with county commissioners this week. The project would be called The Haven. It would have 82 beds on 5 acres of land. Mercy House right now is still in the process of getting funding to open it up. That's your news on this Thursday morning. I'm Jeff Davis for WSFA 12 News.
Dear John, I was hoping you wouldn't come to this, but you've left me no choice.
I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is really serious, and lately you seem to really not care. I've been there for you since day one, and I know you think I'm going to keep ticking. But no, my friend, I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to the good times? When we were more active and ate more healthy food,
Yeah.
and you checked on me every once in a while. Is that too much to ask? I don't want to be. But unless you stop ignoring me, what else am I supposed to do? Remember,
Let's see.
when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart. Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Doing the minimum to control your high blood pressure isn't doing enough. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get your blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. Check, change, control. A message from the American Heart Association.
1490 WHBB. Good morning. 334-875-1490 and 1492 are the numbers to call if you have comments or questions. A programming note on tomorrow, Mr. James Spears is coming in to talk about sign up for baseball and softball. That's tomorrow's Viewpoint, the first hour at 8 o'clock. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Good morning, Randy. How are you doing, buddy?
Yes, sir. How are you this morning? You enjoying this weather?
That's a great day, man. Ryegrass is popping up. It's growing, so it's good for cattle.
Yeah, but not good for those of us who have to cut. you got cattle. You can they're keeping your grass down, aren't they?
Well, when they did, Randy, but I don't need it down because there's cold weather knocking it down.
Right.
But it's growing right now. You know, Randy, you start talking about transgender, and what party has focused on that and pushed that?
Well, now not to be partisan, but because when we start pointing out the fact that the Democratic Party on a national level is promoting LGBTQ plus's agenda, that's just the bottom line, and that's a part of their agenda, and they've been classified as being on the left.
How can we justify? It's a mental health issue. When you start saying a man's a woman, a woman's a man, they've got mental health issues, and they need to be addressed. Instead of fostering that lifestyle and those problems, I just don't understand why people don't hold them accountable for their positions. Like transgender. Look at this guy that at the ice rink that was dressed as a woman, murdered his ex.
He had a sex change. He was not only dressed as a woman, he had an operation and had his he had breast implants.
You can't become a woman.
Yeah, well, when some people's minds they can. Yeah, well, see, and then I hear you. I tell you, I don't know. What scares me is if people vote for these. Do they vote for is it the media, or is it that somebody has learned how to manipulate these elections, and that's why they're fighting so hard to not have any checks and balances in voting? And if you say it and you're black, you're an Uncle Tom. It's always they find a way to justify being wrong.
Well, it's just like, I met Jesse Jackson one time in Washington, D.C., and he really wasn't what people portrayed him to be in real life. He was just like anybody else with a lot of flaws and problems, which we all have. But I just hate when people put people up on pedestals like that. I don't know. And everybody talks about Trump. He's probably one of the most naturally real people I've ever witnessed. I mean, he is what he said he is. sometimes of who we want to be, but, you know, I gotta respect him. He doesn't change, for people just to get their vote or to, impress them. He is who he says he is. And, you know, it's something true in a good direction, but the press is convincing most of these people that we're not, and that we need to change. You know, the Democrats take the whole, House in the midterms, there's nothing but courts and courts and courts, and when we're trying to impeach Trump the whole time.
Yeah, I'm afraid that that's the way it looks. That you know, and it's he'll only have 2 years left in office, but we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen with the midterms, but we need to really, really put ourselves in check on a lot. There was a time, you know, when people appreciated folks that were being real and frank and, you know, showing who they were. Now it's just almost just the opposite, depending on who it is.
Well, the economy is booming, and it's fixing to take off even greater this year, and people don't see it. I mean, they think, in your lifetime, Wendy, when did you ever see a price come back down?
Yeah. No, we've had a few callers that said that's not going to ever happen. The price won't ever come down, but they have.
Well,
In certain areas, right. Now there's some of these guys are taking advantage of the situation, and but I think it's going to correct itself when folks stop buying their products because they're too high.
Well, cars and automobiles, you know, they were losing $20,000 for their electric cars. So they put that on top of the other cars so they wouldn't lose money, and that raised the price of all the gasoline motors out here. Now people are shifting back, not buying as many electric cars, and they haven't really depriced these vehicles. I mean, you know, some of these pickup trucks are $100,000.
Oh, it's ridiculous. The average new car, I understand, is 50,000.
I don't know. You know, we have the opportunity, and I think that's what is happening now. You have an opportunity to do better than we've ever done before right now. The markets are up, job creation's up, jobs for Americans are up, wages are starting to go up. I can't understand how people don't see that as progress and will not consider giving the administration more time and to get things fully turned around. But you know, if we turn back the other direction, it'll go like
Quickly, yeah. Well, you know, it's like you said, though. The question is the narrative. The narrative by most of the legacy mainstream media is anti anything that President Trump does, anti-Trump, and people, you know, get into that thing to the point of where it becomes illogical, you know, and they don't know. If you study President Trump's background, he was prepared for power, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's been in, whether he filed bankruptcy or not. Some people don't have enough business sense to even be able to get in a position to file for bankruptcy. Chrysler, General Motors filed for bankruptcy.
Well, I gotta tip my hat when he's done what he's done, but you know, and his net worth has actually gone down since he's been president, been going on. And he doesn't take a salary. This man, we don't sleep. I think he sleeps 3 hours a night or something, and he's always working for us, and we don't appreciate it. I find that disheartening.
Well, some people they forget, I don't know if we take the lessons we need to take from history or not. I think President Trump is going back to some basic practices that were being done by other presidents in the past. Now, some would say that that's racist. Some would say that there was a time when the United States was an imperialist or a nation. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of ways to read it, but at the end of the day, I really believe he has put the United States first?
Well, if your buddy's listening, he's probably gonna call in, so go ahead and take off a pill. Get in Hey, you have a great day, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You do the same. I'll tell you. He mentioned Jesse Jackson, and there were some things I didn't know. I see where I was listening again to Chris Plant yesterday, and he referenced some statements that Reverend Jackson had made years ago. I wasn't aware of these statements about spitting in food when he was, in the white person's plate when he was a bus boy or at work in some restaurant. I don't know that I don't know, I haven't verified whether he actually said that or not. That would be sad, but the Reverend Jackson that I came to know, I'm sure he grew past that. And so if that actually turns out to be accurate, speaking of Reverend Jackson, Mayor Johnny Moss III issued a statement. He said, "Today I pause to acknowledge the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson. For decades, he stood as a prominent voice in the civil rights movement, advocating for justice, opportunity, and civic engagement across this nation. His presence was felt in pivotal moments of American history. As a son of Selma, I can't help but think about the bridge that symbolizes courage, sacrifice, and the ongoing pursuit of equality. Leaders like Reverend Jackson carried the spirit forward in their own time and way. Praying for his family and all who were touched by his life. May we continue building communities grounded in service, faith, and forward movement." Selma Mayor Johnny Moss III. Okay, and also we are in the midst of an interesting overlap. Two major religions, of course. The Islamic faith, Muslims worldwide, have started fasting from dawn to sunset. Ramadan is what it's called, and it's their holy month, the 9th month in the Islamic lunar calendar. And their families they fast from sun up to sundown, and I know that's challenging. And so some started yesterday, but I think the vast majority began today. I haven't talked with many of my Islamic friends, so I'm not sure locally what which day Ramadan begins, but I do know that they practice, and so what I found it interesting though is that the overlap that I'm referring to is that Lent started. Ash Wednesday was yesterday, marking Lent, 40 days before Easter. So we've got two major Abrahamic faiths, Islam and Christendom, that are going through a major spiritual phase in approximately the same time frame. I find that very interesting. So, to our Muslim and Islamic listeners, happy Ramadan, and of course to our Christian listeners, happy belated happy Ash Wednesday, and we will be following all of these different events quite closely. Also, congratulations, I understand, is in order for the Southside Panthers, as they won in dramatic fashion with a 53-52 win over Houston Academy. AL.com has zeroed in on Derek Searles Jr. In his last three-pointer, and his only three-pointer of the game, won the game in the last seconds of the game. He nailed a game-winning three-pointer at the buzzer. And so AL.com is honoring Derek Searles Jr. for what he's done. Now I'm assuming that means that Southside has won the regional championship, and I know the state championships don't begin until March. But I've got to get up to date on what to see what the bracket looks like. Viewpoint, you're on the air. Yes, sir. How are you this morning? Yeah, to bring us up to date on what did that win do for them? What does that put them? That's the regional semifinals. Okay, good. So now they've got what, one more game to play for the finals for that region? Mm. Oh my God. Oh man, when is that supposed to be? Next Tuesday. Wow, and that's something that's the same. It's the same team, huh? No, sir, I hadn't seen the video. I've been I've been pulling different, information offline, but I haven't seen the shot yet. But and look, at the buzzer, you can't get any more descriptive than that for drama, huh? Hmm. Must be something going on in Dallas County because really Keith and Dallas County High School too, they went pretty far in the regional playoffs. And Francis Marion right down the road, so mm, wow. Wow, and that's gonna be something, huh? That's a good idea. And I didn't think of it. That's a good idea. Somebody else, like, we people, we need to learn how to listen to each other. Mm. Yeah, I can imagine, man. I tell you, I could imagine. I can imagine the excitement. But I'm with you. I think that we some of us are far too more focused on the negative. I'm like you. I want to focus on the positive. And an event like that gives they get a chance to get off the phone and off the laptop and off the desktop and see some real life action, huh? I'm not getting any. I'm having to dig to get the information that I'm getting. Now if somebody found a pistol in a backpack at one of these schools, it'd be front page news, and Selma would be listed as the most violent city in America. Well, and that's how you get them to continue to do positive by rewarding the good stuff. It's just for me again, common sense. I don't know what has happened, and I don't know who's in charge of these narratives. Well, good. Yeah, that's good. That's positive. Well, thank you so much. Because I don't have all of the information, and I know you keep up with it. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, sports is really a full-time job. If you want to get it right. Now, if you just want to do it any old kind of way, you know what I mean. But I'm not an any old kind of way guy. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right, and keep us updated. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Thank you so much. All right, you heard him. And again, congratulations to the Southside Panthers and Mr. Derek Searles Jr. is being honored statewide. AL.com now, they do pretty good coverage, but AL.com is no longer free. You can get some information for free, but they have a paid subscription, but the paid subscription allows you access to everything that they offer. And so it just depends on what your priorities are. But it's really hard getting information. There was a time when I could cut and paste or copy and paste. All that's you can't really do it like that. And I don't fully trust social media, folk. I'll tell you like it is, because I've seen oh my goodness, I've seen some things on social media. I don't know how many times on social media they have claimed famous personalities have died, and it's not true. So it's just it's another it's called going down the rabbit hole. And once you start pursuing it, they got all kinds of tricks and hooks and games, and I think the advertising term, promotional term is bait and switch. It's a term used in propaganda. You know, you hear me talk a lot about propaganda because there's so much of it. I mean, I've never seen this level of propaganda in media in this country before, but it's there, folks. So that's why I say you have to really be careful because you can get sucked into something and you wouldn't even know why. I done got sucked into something. I don't even know why I'm doing this, right? I done gone down the rabbit hole. So let the buyer beware. Let's take this break, and I'll be back with more after these real messages. not not any of our advertisers. You know, you got to watch these guys in some of the social media and go in some of these global efforts. Let the buyer beware.
At First Capital Bank means you never have to worry about the season or the weather with online banking. It's always there and always on, 24/7, 365, even on holidays.
I'm Richard Walters, president of First Capital Bank, here to let you know that all of our online banking resources have been invaluable to our First Capital customers. Although our lobbies are open, personal and business customers have discovered how convenient and easy it has become to manage financial resources without having to come inside the bank. And all of our online services, including mobile banking apps, are free. Visit firstcahama.com to get all the information, or feel free to call any of our locations in Selma, Troy, or Gulf Shores for any questions or information. Banking the way it should be at First Capital Bank means we are constantly focused on the very latest technology for customer convenience and overall satisfaction. We would love for you to join our growing community bank family. First Capital Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Barry Parker at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC celebrating 80 years of being in business. Not only the best in quality Chevrolet and GMC products, an outstanding selection of pre-owned automobiles right now on the lot, Barry. And George, don't forget about our service department, one of the top service departments around. And, you know, we're coming out of the winter months and we talked about, you know, winterizing your car, but now is more important because the warmer weather means you're going to be using that air conditioning, so you may need to get it charged. Hey, also you're getting ready to head out for vacation time, so you're going to need some new tires, new brake pads. Whatever you're driving, whatever you need, we can take care of all your service needs right here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC. Don't forget now, the only service work that you can't perform here at Reliable are non-GM and Chevrolet brand automobiles that include warranties and recalls. That is correct. We can do all your regular maintenance right here, so we invite you to come by. Give us a call at 872-2337 to speak to Eric. They'll set you up and get you in, get you all taken care of. And George, tell them what happens when they get to that fifth oil change. Well, for every fifth oil change at the Reliable Service Department, it is absolutely free. Yep. And it's not just one vehicle per family. You can bring each vehicle that you have for service at Reliable, and for every fifth oil change, it'll cost you one thing. Now, one thing, I love that word free. So come by and see us right here, 14th Lawrence Street in downtown Selma, right across from the post office. Phone number again, 872-2337, or check us out on our website.
1490 WHBB. You know, thinking about our youth locally, you know, the lady that was here, what was it, last Friday or the first Friday of February from the Selma City Schools, the STEAM advisor, and pointing out that the robotics teams that have been winning all kinds of awards across the state, you know, and then we've got the Future Business Leaders of America. I know the ones at Selma High School have been winning for several years now. They've competed nationally. I mean, you know, these, and then if I look around and see, there's a number of people from Selma who have gone on in various professions, the military, for instance, and the Air Force and the Navy. I mean, you know, ranked very high nationally. So we've got a lot of talent in our area. We need to try and find ways to help support it and cultivate it. We've got some cultural issues too. And so this is why one of the reasons why you hear me and why I'm so passionate about the people that are falling through the net. We may be losing one. That may be the genius we need. We don't need to let them fall through the cracks. Let's find a way to save them, And it's not that hard to do. Maybe just takes a little time to sit down and listen, and to see where a person is at and to treat them like people. Viewpoint, you're on the air. Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I'd like you to do something for me. Let's list off some of the propaganda that the Democrats spread.
It'll take me a little time to sit down and do it properly. I don't want to try, all these. I don't want to get into things off the top of my head because I want to be accurate. But it's a long list. It's a long laundry list.
So you just can't give me a cover on that.
Not now. I'll do it. I'm gonna set aside a special program just to analyze and to compare the two political organizations, Democrat and Republican, and that way we can go through the whole thing.
See, the thing about it is I don't have to get out there and go and research and
Because you already know, huh?
Because you know what I'm saying, the 2020 election was stolen, and Trump said this is the best economy the country has ever seen. He's finna do talking about had $18 trillion coming into the country, and nobody's ever seen it and don't know where it's at. He sit up there and this is all the things that he's putting out there on this, that, and all the other. Now, you don't see the Democrats doing that. Now, that's the one thing that, well, I know they got the wars and everything else, but.
Yeah, I know the Democrats don't engage in propaganda, huh?
But you just didn't do it on.
Well, not without having my information in front of me, because once I open up Pandora's box, I've got to be prepared to defend against it. So when I do go down the rabbit hole, when I come up out the rabbit hole, you better believe you get off of my back because I'm gonna have the facts. I do. You don't. I do. I'm going to do both on the same level. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm for what's right. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I said I'm going to do a special program, set aside a special program just to compare the two platforms and the propaganda. And the propaganda. Who's not bothering anybody? You tell that to the family that just lost the mother, the father, and the in-laws that were shot to the point of where they almost died in Rhode Island. You tell them that they're not hurting anybody. And then after you leave there, you go to some of these other states where this is not to say that all transgender people are violent, but the problem is there's something going on there that we have to take a look at. Say that again. That doesn't make it right, or it may be a fact, but that we've been having problems with young white males in mass shootings since Columbine. And I don't know how many people have taken a good hard look at Columbine, but that's a good place to start because that's when it started. There's something going, a mental health issue. Well, look, so in other words, you think it's right to let a child under the age of 18 or even 12 years old decide that they want to mutilate their body parts, and if they're born male, they want to have breast implants and female, if they're born female, male organs. You think that's all right for a person under the age of 18 to decide for themselves, huh? Look, again, to answer your question, I have to get the facts in front of me, but I do know they exist. I know they exist, brother, or they wouldn't be having these conversations. The medical associations wouldn't have to make an official reversal of their policies. That's common sense. That's probably because you only listen to certain sources of information. I monitor a lot of different sources of. I don't know what you listen to, but a lot of yours appears to me to be clouded by what you've already perceived, whatever your perception already is. So, in other words, I'm saying you don't have an open mind. No. I just can't give you the exact name and date. But I've seen it before. No. It doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work like that. I may know it, and but I can't pull the exact name and date and place. And if I can't do that, then I'm not gonna get into it. But when I do this program, I'll have all of that for you. I want to see if you call then and then what you have to say. That's not propaganda. I'm speculating. There's a difference. Propagandizing is if I'm pushing a particular, deceptively pushing a particular point of view. I'm not deceptive. I'm telling you right where I'm coming from. I don't think minors should be allowed to make a decision that alters their body. That's my position. And if it wasn't happening, friend, it wouldn't be debated nationally. Where are you? What are you talking about? What you're saying doesn't make sense. I just told you why I don't have proof, because you asked me on the spot and I said I have to research it. You said you don't have to do no research because you already know, because you know everything. I don't know everything. That's simple as that. I've been talking about it for longer than that, my friend. I've been talking about it for longer than that. Well, let me tell you this. I'm not gonna, I know a lot of things I don't talk about because I would not put people's business in the street. That's the first thing. There's such a word called discretion. So there's a lot of things I can't talk about. But what I am going to do is I'll pull some other things out. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that just for you. I'm gonna pull out the information on gender care, gender affirming care, because that's the underlying issue, and the Democratic versus Republican propaganda or talking points, whichever you prefer to use. I got you, brother. But I want to, and then when I present it, I want to see what you come back with. I know we irk you, don't we? I know I irk you, because the truth irks you, huh? You can't handle the truth. Well, let's wait until I do the program and then tell me that. Well, you should have. I did. You didn't. You asked me the question. How you gonna say that? Well, look, we're out of time. We're out of time. Thank you for calling. I think they call that a straw man. But anyway, look, thank you for listening. I don't want to forget Reverend Frankie Hutchins' cancer support group, Saturday, February 28th at Clinton Chapel, AME Zion. We're going to have her call in or come in one day to give us more details on that. Stay tuned for Fox News on WHBB Selma. It's 9 o'clock.
He's not just president, he's chairman of the board of peace. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. So
An easy word to say, but a hard word to produce. Peace. President Trump at the board's inaugural meeting this morning in Washington. About 45 countries are attending.